the wrestling podcast that sets all other podcasts apart. Covering news from the world of WWE, AEW, TNA, and more. Your favorite weekly episodic podcast, Ramblers Unleashed, starts now.
All right, hello, welcome to it. Another edition of Ramblers Unleashed, your Saturday afternoon delight. And sorry, we didn't hear the intro there. But
you didn't hear it?
No. Was it going?
Yeah.
I didn't hear anything.
Bax, did you hear it?
I didn't hear it. Let me go back over here real quick. I'll find out.
Oh, that's crazy.
I guess
it doesn't sound like it's playing on YouTube right now either.
I guess I could do it. And now for the latest news and blah, 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 WWE, TNA, and AEW, and all the other stuff. It's Ramblers Unleashed. There you go.
That's weird.
I know. Things happen. We'll just blame the gremlins this time.
Technical difficulties. Please stand by.
Technical difficulties. Please stand by. Hope your Saturday is going well, and we have a lot. Yes, exactly. That's my thoughts exactly. All right, we have a lot to dive into today, but of course, before we introduce the rest of the Ramblers, big news: Kevin Sullivan was announced that Kevin Sullivan passed away over last week, and we're going to dive into that coming up. But before we get into everything, we do want to do as we always do when we lose a professional wrestler and do a 10-bell salute. So, J-Bone, if you have that ready, sir, I will take off my hat.
I hope you guys
are able to hear it.
Hear it.
I hope so too.
I turned the volume up.
The Gremlins need to take a day off, man.
Seriously. Okay, here we go. Hang on a second.
All right, here we go. All right, rest in peace to Kevin Sullivan. Let's go ahead with the intros. Let's introduce the rest of the Ramblers. First off, Baron is on assignment, studying on what's better, an hour of fresh air or watching an hour of AEW programming. We hope to have his findings next week during the show. Next up, let me introduce the man who is the neighborhood heel, a man with more wrestling knowledge in his pinky finger than Tony Khan could ever muster up, and the only guy that I know that pops bigger for Joel Gertner than any of us. You may address him as Mr. Magus, but we call him the mighty Maximus Magus. Golfers clap. Max, how are you this week, man?
Well, you got to understand one thing. Part of the problem that Tony Khan has is he's not using his pinky for good. He's using it to check that cocaine.
That's true. So how are you, sir?
Well, I feel like I'm looking better. I'm feeling a little better. I'm a little tired and sore from my week at work. And believe me, crawling under front counters and cleaning up cables is not easy. But here we are again, doing the easiest job we do all week.
Here we go. That's it.
Well, actually, maybe Dizzy has an easier job all week since he does things for a radio station that involve him just talking, right?
Yeah, possibly. We don't have to get into that. Finally, the producer of our show, the man, the myth, the absolute legend, for without his tech wizardry and the gizmos that he brings to the show, plus his vast wrestling knowledge, and his missus is so kind to gift us his time to do this show, for without him, wouldn't be here today. The host of Smash This Podcast and Total Nonstop Impact with the latest reviews on YouTube over any other podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the great and infamous J-Bone. Golfers clap. J-Bone, how are you this week, man?
Dude, I'm great, man. And I'm really sorry about the technical difficulties. You guys did not hear the 10-bell salute?
No bells. No bells, no intro.
Because I heard it fine in my. That's crazy. I am so sorry because I played it on the audio here.
Yeah, no, I faintly heard something, but I don't know where it was coming from. I don't know. But
I just want to say I forgive J-Bone. He is the hardest working man in wrestling podcast. He has to produce not one, not two, but 3 wrestling podcasts a week. I forgive the man.
Yeah, I mean, I totally forgive him. I mean, you are a hardworking guy, man. I mean, I try
to just make everything just look and sound like we actually know what we're doing, but not take ourselves too seriously at the same time.
Yeah. Not only do you do this show, but you also do Smash This Podcast from time to time, and the weekly show every Thursday night. You go live with a watch party for TNA Impact, and then after that, you do a review show for TNA Impact. Plus, you give some TNA news on Total Nonstop Impact.
And I've also been doing something that Bill and I from TNI, we started doing a short. Well, we try to keep it within an hour short. A news thing because there's been so much TNA stuff on NXT on Tuesday nights.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been covering that too, especially if something happens, like, someone debuts, a surprise thing, Joe Hendry wrestle. Let's talk about that. The big stuff that happened this week, which I don't think it's actually in our list of things to talk about, but I'll mention it briefly here for the sake of, just bringing it up, is the breakdown of MSK. Wes Lee turned on Zachary Wentz and Trey Miguel of TNA. So that was like, oh my God, that was pretty emotional.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we have a lot to discuss today. As we first said when we started the show, the wrestling world is mourning the loss of one of its most influential figures, the Taskmaster, Kevin Sullivan, who passed away at the age of 74. News was confirmed on Friday morning that he passed away from longtime Florida wrestling personality Barry Rose, who shared his grief over the passing of his close friend. Sullivan's passing follows a difficult period for his family, who had revealed in early July that the icon was in grave danger after a devastating accident in May of this year. The accident occurred during an autograph signing in Florida, leading to emergency surgery that saved his leg and his life. However, Sullivan faced severe complications, including sepsis and some other things, which place an immense financial burden on his family as he remained in and out of consciousness in the ICU. Despite the changes, Sullivan showed incredible resilience with friends, colleagues, and fans rallying around him. A GoFundMe campaign was set up by his daughter, Nicole, quickly exceeded its goal, which is awesome to hear, demonstrating just the outpouring of support for Kevin Sullivan. And when the news broke, WWE's official Twitter account, formerly known as Twitter, now X, sent out a message saying WWE is saddened to learn that Kevin Sullivan has passed away. We extend our condolences to Kevin's family, friends, and fans. They included a graphic of him, which you saw the graphic on your screen there. And Mark Henry also posted a tribute to Kevin Sullivan, sharing a headshot of the legend, stating, quote, "Prayers out to the family, RIP," end quote. And others paying tribute to Kevin, including Bill DeMott, Triple H, QT Marshall, Enzo Amore, DDP, AEW, Eric Bischoff, Ric Flair, Adam Pearce, and a lot more. Very hard news to learn about the passing of Kevin Sullivan. J-Bone, when you heard about it, what were your thoughts, man?
It's a tough one because I know he's a significant. By the way, is my audio okay?
Yeah, your audio's fine.
Okay, I just make sure because I was tweaking it while you were going over stuff. I was trying to adjust. There's a thing that you can adjust the background noise, so hopefully you don't hear too much of the back. Yeah. Anyways, so much of what he did that we've seen or maybe have not seen is stuff from back in the WCW era. Now he had done stuff since, like he had a short run, I believe, a couple years ago, pre-pandemic, in MLW. I think the main thing was when Swerve Strickland was world champ, he had some kind of faction or some kind of group against him. He was guiding them, and I know he did stuff in Ring of Honor, but I think what so many are going to remember him for is this time in WWF and WCW, being a booker / wrestler, the different factions he was a part of, the characters he played. What is it, the term I heard recently? People talking about him. The thing in the late 80s, early 90s, like the satanic panic, because he would look pretty evil, pretty devious, and he was infamous for that. But and WWE really did put out a great tribute, because for those of you that are not familiar with him, you really did take a good quick dive into what he accomplished in his career. And I know there was a lot of controversy over the years with him and Benoit, and Benoit's who was actually Kevin Sullivan's wife, a woman, was her name Nancy, and then became Benoit's wife and all that. But we don't need to get into any more beyond that. But there was I
heard rumblings about that. I know somebody just brought it up in the chat, but I've heard rumblings about that, and I really don't want to bring up conspiracy theories on the show because, again, they're just conspiracy theories.
I wasn't going to bring that up.
There's so many things that were said about Kevin Sullivan and Benoit and all of that, but we just want to focus on what Kevin Sullivan did for the wrestling community and for the industry career wise. Max, I know you were Max, I know that you've been a part of the professional wrestling industry, the indie circuit, if you will. Did you ever meet Kevin? Did you ever work with him? Or
I never got that opportunity, and I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, considering how I felt about the guy. And it has nothing to do with the conspiracy theories, by the way. Listen, let me start by saying that I am an asshole. I admit that. I openly admit that. That's why I am the resident heel on this show, is because I am an asshole. But I am not one of those assholes that would celebrate the death of somebody that I didn't like. In this case, Kevin Sullivan, I did not like the guy. I had very little respect for him. And let me tell you a little story about why. Way back when WCW was still doing its thing, they threw together a couple of wrestlers thinking, you know what, we'll have them wrestle a few shows, just be filler. It's not that big of a deal. Then we'll find something for them to do later. The booker that made that decision was Kevin Sullivan. The wrestlers he threw together became known as the Hollywood Blondes. The Hollywood Blondes got over with the crowd. The crowd loved them. So what does Kevin Sullivan do? Well, that wasn't supposed to be the way this goes. You guys are split up, and we're going to go a different direction. Listen, these guys got over without you're intending them to. Why don't you run with that and rake in the money that you're going to make off the Hollywood Blondes? That was a stupid decision on your part. And you're right. We don't need to discuss that other stuff. The things that I dislike him for are things like that. His decisions as a booker. At the end of the day, though, it is sad to lose anybody from the wrestling industry because, damn it, the names that we grew up on are the ones we're losing, the ones we hold nearest and dearest. And I know I speak for everybody on this show when I say that when you hear someone from the era you started watching wrestling has passed away, it does make an impact on you, whether you liked them or not. So that being said, and despite the fact that I was never a fan of Kevin Sullivan, rest in peace. You did make major contributions to the world of wrestling, even when you were making mistakes as a booker.
And you hit the nail right on the head there, Max. The wrestlers that we grew up with from the 80s and the 70s, they're starting to phase out. We're losing them, man. And I worry about Ric Flair. I worry about a lot of these legends that
Courtney's
are now
trying to make me cry.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And losing somebody like Bray Wyatt so early was detrimental to us because we never expected him to be gone. We thought he would be here. We didn't think that we would lose him so soon. But
I still have days where I think he might show up.
I know. But rest in peace to Kevin Sullivan, and we're here to make sure that his memory is honored for the contributions that he did for professional wrestling, for this industry that we all love, and our thoughts and prayers to the family of Kevin Sullivan. I'm really happy that the GoFundMe campaign that was set up by his daughter was well taken care of. So that's good news.
Now, I will say that if Hogan ever goes, I don't think I can be this nice, so don't call on me during that episode.
Oh man, I'm hit and miss with Hogan. I'm hit and miss with Hogan. It'll be sad because he's a person, because of the contributions that he made for the wrestling industry, just like Kevin Sullivan. But the controversies that he had, in the 80s with the steroids thing with Vince McMahon, his time in WCW with the NWO and how he did that and all that was taken care of. I'm not going to miss that. But I will miss Hogan for being the person that he was and the contributions that he made to the wrestling industry. Even going outside of Hulkamania and going into the NWO, because that did help the WCW. But that can get into that in another episode. Because we have a lot to discuss today.
I was gonna say, don't jinx it. I ain't ready for that one, man.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. Like I said, we have a lot to dive into today. Of course, we have news from Scott D'Amore, who is starting a new adventure soon. We have one from the desk of Max Magus regarding Vince McMahon and his repayment plans for misallocated funds to TKO, as well as we have a question of the day for you, the listener, regarding season 6 of Dark Side of the Ring. There's big news on that. Of course, we got some TNA news to go over, news from AEW, and big news from the WWE too. So let's dive into it, man. Let's start off with Scott D'Amore. He's starting a new adventure soon. 6 months after departing TNA, D'Amore has confirmed his next move, and he announced that he's reviving the Maple Leaf Wrestling brand, starting with 2 events this October. Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling will be at St. Clair College in Windsor, Ontario, Canada on Saturday, October 19th and Sunday the 20th. Shows are set to air as pay-per-views on Triller TV. Forged in Excellence is the name of the events. Former WWE star Jinder Mahal will be there, as well as Josh Alexander, Giselle Shaw, Kushida, Alex Zane, Kevin Knight, Jake Something, Kylie Ray, and Trevor Lee are all advertised to appear. So, as the resident TNA expert, J-Bone from Total Nonstop Impact, are you excited about Scott D'Amore's new adventure for Maple Leaf Wrestling? Are you shocked with the names that are on the card?
First of all, did you put my name and expert all in the same sentence there?
Did. Because you are, man.
Anybody that owns 2 animal figures has to be an expert in something. And we know that you watch more TNA hours than the rest of us combined. So therefore, we're applying that expert status to TNA.
And to the name of
I would have applied it to Lucha Underground, but that's off air.
Yeah.
Well, that goes back a bit. Shit, that was
Rest in peace, J Bones Mucha Lucha.
Oh gosh, would love the Lucha. I am I don't know if I'd say excited for what Scott D'Amore is gonna do, but I certainly am curious. The fact that he's got a few names in there that TNA has not picked up, and I'll throw in the big word yet, because I feel like Trevor Lee has had an amazing past with TNA, being multi-time. I'm pretty sure it's multi-time X Division champion. He is the Carolina Caveman. That's where I became a fan of his before he went up to NXT and did all those goofy money gimmicks, which I never got. The former Jinder Mahal, I think you said, was going to be on there too.
Yeah, Jinder Mahal and
Kylie Ray.
Big one was Josh Alexander. That surprised me, honestly, since he's under contract.
He's the one that got Josh Alexander signed to TNA, and he got several that are from the Canadian area up there in Canada. For anyone from Canada, getting them signed to TNA to get them to wrestle in the U.S. and abroad, like Speedball Mike Bailey, among so many others.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll give him all the credit for that. I am curious to see. I mean, do I think it's going to be some big touring thing? No, I kind of just expect it to stay up in Canada. But for what it's worth, I'm sure he's got the money. He's going to put something together that looks decent on our screens.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am curious. You said now what are the dates you said those are coming?
The dates are October 19th and October 20th. The pay-per-view will be titled Forged in Excellence.
Okay. All right. So well, there's a few months away for those, and we'll see what he does. I'm sure he's going to knock it out of the park with whatever he does. He is a very talented. I will never. I mean, was it bad business that happened between him and the TNA, or I should say the Anthem execs? As far as TNA business, yeah. But I'll never knock him for his charisma.
Yeah.
Or his passion in the world of professional wrestling. He's had that passion for decades, Yeah. And that's what helped get TNA off the ground in the first place, is people like him. So yeah,
he's got a fire in his belly, man, and that's what I admire the most about Scott D'Amore, is that he's got a fire in his belly, that even though he had a falling out with TNA, he is ready to move on with the new chapter in his professional career with Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, which will be really, really good to see. Max, are you excited about Scott D'Amore's new adventure?
Maybe. And I'm going to tell you why here in just a second after I ask J-Bone a follow-up question. J-Bone, with the opening of Maple Leaf, do you think there is a chance we might get to see the return of Team Canada? And if so, do they just call themselves Team Here since Maple Leaf's in Canada?
Team down the block.
Team coming through the apron.
I've always wanted to see some kind of return of Team Canada, whether it's in Scott D'Amore's neck of the woods in his company, or whether they do something in TNA. I don't care where it is. If it's Josh Alexander and EY or some other version, which I don't think there's too many other past members that are actually active right now, sadly. Bobby Roode's a producer in WWE. He's retired. He can't wrestle no more. Other people have come and gone. Petey Williams is a producer. He's not wrestling anymore. So, yeah, the members are few and far in between. But, yeah, somewhere down the road, I wouldn't be surprised that we get some tag team match at some point from one of the brands. It doesn't matter to me. But, yeah, it'd be cool.
I like Bell's Boy. I like Bell's Boy and his interpretation. Team Maple Leaf Syrup. I like that.
Absolutely.
Two of my favorite factions that I never talk about because it's TNA were Team Canada and pretty much any group that James Storm was part of. I think James Storm is a very talented wrestler. EY is a very talented wrestler. EY really throws himself into his characters, and I love that. We talked before about one of my favorite periods in TNA was when Eric Young thought he was getting fired because Jim Cornette said somebody was getting fired. So you have EY walking around for weeks with signs in the audience that say, "Don't fire Eric Young." I love EY. I love James Storm. Team Canada was so much fun to watch. So if there was ever a return of Team Canada, even though, like you said, Petey Williams is retired and Beer Money was amazing, Courtney. Yes, I loved that team.
Loved it.
Sorry about your damn luck. But if there was ever a return of Team Canada, even if it was Josh Alexander as opposed to original members, I think I would definitely be on board for something like that, even if it was in Maple Leaf. And that's why I asked, is because that would get my interest up. If you formed Team Canada in Maple Leaf, I'm like, tune me in.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see what happens with Scott D'Amore's new adventure, Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. I'm excited for it. I know the guys here are excited for it too. We're just interested to see what Scott will do, if he'll pull any old tricks out of his bag, and I guess we'll have to just wait for October 19th and October 20th for Forged in Excellence for Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. Let's move on to the desk of Max Magis, and it does involve TKO as they outline Vince McMahon's repayment plans for some misallocated funds. So here's what's going on, Max. Former chairman Vince McMahon officially stepped down from his roles with WWE and its parent company, TKO, as we all know, in January of this year, as you put on a new hat.
Is that your business hat, Max?
This is my angry hat.
Okay. Well, shit. Okay.
The skeleton.
That was all following the filing of sex trafficking lawsuits by Janelle Grant. The resignation comes 18 months after his initial departure in 2022, which was prompted by reports that he had misused company funds to pay non-disclosure agreements to Grant and other individuals. Since his resignation, McMahon has been actively reimbursing WWE for the misappropriated funds. WWE, we all know, merged with UFC under the umbrella of TKO in September of 23, and the company's latest quarterly reports indicates that McMahon has continued these reimbursement efforts even after his departure. The report states, quote, Mr. McMahon has agreed to make future payments to certain parties personally, end quote. Now, as of December 31st of last year, McMahon owed a total of $1.5 million to various parties, a liability he has since settled in full as of June 30th of this year. Max, does this come as a shock to you? What are your thoughts on this?
Oh, I'm not shocked by this news. This sounds exactly like something Vince would do, thinking that WWE funds were Vince McMahon funds, because as far as he was concerned, WWE and Vince McMahon were the same thing. But here's the thing, okay? If it's not in your personal bank account, if it's in the company bank account, that's not Vince McMahon funds. That's company funds. That money goes to pay your wrestlers, your road crew, your venues that you're getting into, the insurance that you have to pay at each venue to do your show. All those little costs that go into all this, the gas for the road. You know, if you're paying for somebody's travel, like Triple H gets his air travel paid for everywhere they go, that comes out of the company money. Your NDA for your clandestine interactions does not come out of the company money. Even if you were part of the company when it happened, you don't use that money to pay those people off. In fact, this happens in all walks of life, all the way from entertainment to sports. We see it in wrestling with the Vince McMahon story, to politics, to you name an industry in the U.S. And I could probably dig up somebody that has misused an NDA to keep someone from talking about something they did wrong. An NDA is not to cover your ass when you sexually harass or sexually abuse or whatever somebody that you're working with. An NDA is when you have trade secrets that you don't want other companies to know about. So the fact that he used company money to cover his own ass and his own mistakes, that's ridiculous. I don't care how bad you think you messed up. You took it too far when you used company money to pay out those NDAs. Thankfully, you're paying it back. And if you don't pay back every cent, you're just as big of a scumbag as we've said you are a few times on the show. And that's the negative version of scumbag, not the positive that we apply to Baron when he's around, because his Twitter handle.
Yeah. You can follow Scumbag Jordan with 3 N's. J-Bone, does this come as a shock to you? Or, I mean, at least McMahon is settling his things up with the company, as far as, you know, misusing the funds to cover his own ass, as Max just said. But does this come as a shock?
It doesn't. Well, I don't know how to put it. Because we all know how big his ego is.
Oh, sure.
And it's kind of like one of those things where if someone has an ego that big, where someone is told to apologize, it's damn well almost impossible for that person or to hear it and "I'm sorry" out of, you know, the horse's mouth.
We'll never hear it.
In this case, it's being done in the form of funds.
Yeah.
So, you know, are we ever going to hear some kind of some kind of apology from the world of Vincent Kennedy McMahon? I highly doubtful. Highly doubtful. But at least he's reimbursing his. It's still, you know, gosh, it's almost weird to say his former company. I mean, I know we're in a different era now, and Triple H is, you know, running things with Nick Khan, and, you know, Shawn Michaels has NXT and such,
and doing a damn good job of it.
They are. But my point is just it's weird to think that we are in that era now that Vince is somewhere outside the box in all this, and now he's bringing funds back into the company that he, in a sense, you know, like you could say stole from, you know, whatever, however you want to say it.
That's exactly what it is, theft.
Yeah. So yeah, it's weird. It's proper that he does pay it back. Obviously, he'd be in a lot more trouble if he didn't, you know. But now, as far as these other things that he's been, you know, accused of, and all the different lawsuits, you know, we'll have to see how that goes. But one thing at a time in the court of law, I guess.
Real quick, I got to handle some business from the chat. Dizzy, get the tables.
Oh boy.
What?
Did you see what Bell's boy said?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I missed it here. What did you say?
Bell's Max had that hat on. Bell's boy said, "Preach, Max the magician," and Max said, "I would be a magician with a cape. I'd be Super Max." And Bell's boy said, "Like a tampon."
Oh, oh, jeez.
I always liked Bell's
Wow.
boy. I've always liked him.
Bell's boy, we love you. All
Well,
right.
we'll have to see if any other news comes from the McMahon debacle, as far as misappropriated funds or anything like that. But it's honestly, the whole McMahon thing has been kind of hush hush because there hasn't been much to do with it in court and things like that. So I haven't heard of anything. But if we do hear of anything, we'll definitely let you know. Here's the question of the day for fans. Vice Media's hit series Dark Side of the Ring has captivated audience by pulling back the curtain on the darker, often hidden aspects of pro wrestling, from shocking scandals to tragic stories. Show never shied away from exploring the most controversial topics within the industry. And with the 5th season wrapping up earlier this year, featuring names like Vince McMahon and Sandman, fans are already buzzing about what's in store for the upcoming 6th season. Now, according to sources, the production for season 6 began last month. While details are still kind of under wraps, there are some intriguing hints about what's to come. Now, there aren't really any major updates as of yet, but interviews are currently being arranged on various topics. One of the most notable name planned to be featured is Billy Jack Haynes. We all know him as a former wrestler known for his tumultuous career and outspoken nature. In addition, there have been some discussions about including segments of Dennis Coralluzzo, a key figure in the independent wrestling scene, as well as Ludwig Borga, a controversial wrestler from the early 90s. It's unclear whether work has officially begun on any of those subjects, but sound off in the comments. Who do you think should be featured on season 6 of Dark Side of the Ring? And what was your favorite episode? Mine personally, and I don't know about you guys, but mine personally probably was the plane ride from hell. That was eye-opening with everything that happened, all the crap that happened on the plane, from Flair running around naked in just a robe, and the flight attendant that had to experience all that crap. It was eye-opening. Plus the McMahon episode was great too. But Max, what was your favorite episode of Dark Side of the Ring, and who do you think they should cover in season 6? Because I honestly have no idea. There's so many.
Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've had a hard time getting into Dark Side of the Ring, and it's not because they don't present quality storytelling on the issues that happen. It's because, for me, I think we do a pretty good job of destroying my illusion of my childhood heroes as it is right here on this show. I'm afraid that watching this will destroy what shred of respect I have left for certain people. And it's really difficult to convince myself to sit down and watch it. Now, that being said, I did just look up a name that you said, because first off, I wanted to confirm the pronunciation of the last name because it sounded an awful lot like Borgia, but no, you're right. It was Borga this time, but I didn't remember hearing of him. So I looked him up. Did you know that man was a member of the Finnish parliament at one point? I had no clue.
I had no idea.
He was the Jesse the Body Ventura of Finland, apparently.
That is crazy. I guess if that's true, if what we're hearing about is going to happen with season 6 of Dark Side of the Ring featuring him, that could be brought into the equation there.
Yeah, I'm going to have to start watching this so that I can be ready for season 6. Because if he's going to be part of season 6, I have curiosity that I need to satisfy now.
I tell you, it's been one of the most fascinating shows that I've ever watched on Vice TV, and they've been killing it. J-Bone, what was your favorite episode of Dark Side of the Ring, and who do you think they should feature on season 6?
Oh man, that's a tough one, man. They've
Yeah.
really knocked it out of the park so many seasons. Um, I don't think I've watched much from this last season. I've got them all recorded. I just need to sit down and just knock out a few hours of them. I'd say my favorite stuff is controversial and as sad as it was the special on Chris Benoit.
Yeah.
And it just because it puts so many things to rest that have been like looming in the world of professional wrestling, and he said she said stuff. It just that was tough because he was really one of my favorites for the longest time. So yeah, I'd say that one. I mean, they've done several, but just off the top of my head, I'd say that one. The one on the gosh, what's the other one? It's a really dark one, but Jake the Snake Robert and his family, because it's not just on him, it's on his brother and his sister too, and how they're all tied together in the world of wrestling and their history with their father and all that stuff.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but has Dark Side of the Ring ever covered the Attitude Era? I know that they've talked about some of the stuff in the Attitude Era, but dude, there has got to be so many secrets from the Attitude Era that we don't know that could be uncovered from Dark Side of the Ring.
Well, they covered like the Brawl for All,
They did, yeah.
There's been things here and there, like specific people. They covered they covered China. They covered China, didn't they? Or was that am I thinking of a different special?
I don't know.
I'm currently going through the episodes real quick.
Because I know Vice did a special on China, but it wasn't anything to do with Dark Side of the Ring.
Or maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I don't think Dark Side of the Ring
is a separate production. Yeah,
I mean, they did an episode about Matt Bourne, Chris and Tammy.
Yeah,
that was a big one. Yeah,
that was a big story. It was a big episode. I don't think they've really dove into the happenings of the Attitude Era, like the behind the scenes stuff. That's what if they haven't, that is what I would like to see next on season 6 of Dark Side of the Ring. Bell's Boy says his favorite season was season 5, the episode with Sandman. The XWP XPW episode from season 3 was eye-opening. They
had 2 episodes about Pillman, 2 episodes about Benoit. I mean, like back-to-back episodes that were 2 parts. Brawl for All.
New Jack was priceless.
New Jack was so priceless, especially with the mass transit thing that happened in ECW. That was a big to do.
It looks like they took a couple of the individual stories that happened during the Attitude Era, but weren't necessarily attributed to being because of the Attitude Era, and told those stories. So maybe that could be something they do coming up, is actually tell the story of the Attitude Era.
Yeah, and if it's not on Dark Side of the Ring, they could do something like they did with Who Killed WCW, and talk about the Attitude Era.
And count how many times Vince Russo says "bruh."
Bro,
I don't even know if I could. Like, I recorded all 4 episodes of that. I don't even know if I could sit down and watch them, because there's been so many people with their fingers pointed at each other, and no, it was this group of people, and no, it was this guy, and no, it was this guy. I'm just like, really?
It was a finger point. I mean, it was a finger pointing game. It really was, between Kevin Nash, Eric Bischoff, Vince Russo, and everybody involved in WCW. It was a big finger pointing game, but it was a good series. It was a very good, very well done mini series behind all the stuff that happened in WCW. But I'm interested also in the Attitude Era stuff, because there had to have been stuff that we don't know about that happened backstage in the Attitude Era, during the Attitude Era.
Oh,
And it could have hurt on Vince McMahon too, you know.
I'm going to point some fingers real quick too. Did that guy have power in WCW during the Monday Night Wars? Yes, he's at fault. Did that guy have power in WCW during the Monday Night Wars? Yes, then he's at fault. Did that guy have power? Anybody that was in power, there was a struggle for power because so many people had it. That's what killed WCW. That includes Vince Russo, Eric Bischoff, the members of the NWO. Sorry, Nash, it's true. You were involved in the struggle for power. Therefore, you were involved in the downfall. Now, I will say this. Maybe they didn't intend for it to come to that. Nobody intentionally brings a company down that's paying their bills very well. But the fact that you were involved in that power struggle, you're part of what killed the company. You know, all that power made you guys all have those egos that were like, well, this is what's best for the show. This is what's best for the show. All of that came together and was explosive, and it finally blew up in your faces.
Yeah, and it like you said, it was a big power struggle between everybody because everybody had their hands in the pot and they all wanted a piece of it, and they all thought that, well, I don't care about the product. I'm just going to go with what's best for me. You know, I don't care what's best for business. I'm going to go with what's best for me. And that's what killed WCW is the egos and the greed, not only from the Ted Turner. You know, Ted Turner really didn't do much for WCW. The executives after the Turner and Time Warner merge, they didn't do much for WCW either. And we could do a whole show about WCW. We could do a whole freaking special on who killed WCW, but we'll get into that. And if we hear anything about what is the possibilities of coming up with Dark Side of the Ring, we'll let you know, because I'm very interested in that, and I think a lot of people would be interested in season 6 Dark Side of the Ring. So we'll let you know if anything else comes up from that. Let's move on to
real quick, Dizzy. I just want to say, you said we could do a whole episode on it. I love your optimism, but it's either going to be a short episode or it's going to be 4 parts because of all the information that we would have to go through.
I know, and it would be a lot to sift through, for all of us to look through, and it would just be a big show to do. But you never know; it could happen. Let's move on to some TNA news, because I know J-Bone is. We were talking about this off the air, and you seem really excited. First, let's talk about TNA Bound for Glory. Rumors have been circulating that suggest that Bound for Glory could be held internationally, notably in Europe or in New York City, and this made fans wonder where it would ultimately be held. Now, according to sources, the 2024 Bound for Glory pay-per-view will be held in Detroit, Michigan. This will be the first time the event will take place in Michigan since 2006, and it comes from like I just said, other possible rumors suggesting New York City or even an international venue for BFG. Last year's event was held in Chicago, and now they're taking it on the road to Detroit, Michigan. I know, as a TNA fan, J-Bone, this is exciting news for you. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So first of all, I mean, I can't tell you how many times in the last several weeks, coming out of the last big pay-per-view, that people were either messaging us, asking in the chat, like, hey, if you guys, because I mean, we have our this is not me bragging like, oh, we got connections. No, but I mean, we got people we talk to in the company here and there about certain things. You know, we got people that drop in the chat and say hi. It's like, you know, we feel like we've got a pretty good connection with the company. We certainly don't work for them. We don't get paid for them. We love TNA. You know, we appreciate everything that they're trying to do, especially the growth period over the last handful of years has been a lot of fun to watch. it's an exciting time. And now with the TNA NXT stuff is even more exciting.
Yeah.
So yeah, fans have been going crazy lately, like trying to figure out, or guess or whatever, where Bound for Glory was going to be. Is it going to be overseas? Is it going to be in the States? Is it going to be in New York or what? And then we got the teaser for it the other day, and Bill was actually told quietly about it, but we're not one to put spoilers out, so yeah, we knew about it, but we were going, oh, by the way, here's your spoiler. No, we're not. Sorry, we're not Sean Ross crap, and put something out behind a paywall, scuzz. So yeah, Bound for Glory, October 26th, Detroit, Wayne State University Fieldhouse. And for those asking right away, yes, it does hold a decent amount of people, holds about 3K, give or take a few. So that's a great number for right now for where TNA is. They're starting to get out of these smaller venues into these smaller to medium size arenas. Perfect. You start putting, anywhere between 1,000 to 3,000 people in these seats with all the hype that's been going on lately. It's perfect. Tickets are going on sale in a few weeks. And I'm not going to get into all the details. So if you want details for it, just go to TNAwrestling.com and you go to the events page or go to the news page, and the article's right there as far as when they're going on sale and who can get their hands on tickets first. One thing I will mention is if you are a subscriber to TNA Plus, you will get your chance at tickets 24 hours before the general sale. So so that's a little tip for those. Get on that TNA Plus and be a nice advantage for some. So yeah, very excited. A lot of people have been looking forward to this. It's nice. It's last year's was in Chicago. That was a blast. They had a series of shows in Chicago all year long, and it hasn't been in Detroit in many, many years, and it's still close enough. A lot of us are contemplating going. Maybe we'll see, but pretty cool.
It's it's really exciting to see the venture that TNA is on, especially with being owned by Anthem now, and their whole journey, the new journey of TNA. It's really, really cool, and that brings us to another story from TNA, and this involves Max's favorite guy, Joe Hendry. He's been making a lot of headlines with his role in the crossover between NXT and TNA. He recently performed a live concert on the July 30th episode of NXT and was also victorious during the August 6th edition of NXT against Joe Coffey, making fans wonder if he might eventually join the company. Now, Hendry's popularity in WWE is really on the rise, but he won't be able to join WWE for a while because, according to sources, Hendry's contract with TNA Wrestling is believed to be valid until the end of 2025, which means he will remain under contract for the promotion for over a year. But, Max, it was also mentioned that one potential option is for WWE to sign Hendry and buy out the contract with TNA, but it's not known if that's a possibility, if it can even be done between TNA and WWE. My question to you, Max, since you're the biggest mark for Joe Hendry, is would you want to see him jump ship from TNA to NXT? Do you think he's ready to move over to the NXT roster? Are you enjoying him? Are you enjoying seeing him on TNA and would be missed. He would be missed on TNA. What are your thoughts, man?
Jump ship is the wrong word. Here's the thing. I am happy with the current arrangement. I still get to see Joe Hendry regularly, and he's making a name for himself in 2 different big companies and on the indies. This man has one of the most unique contracts because while his contract with TNA isn't up for a while, there was a deal worked out between TNA and WWE to where not only can he appear regularly on NXT while still fulfilling all of his contractual obligations to TNA, but he also has the freedom to go do any indie show that he chooses. This is the most unique deal I have heard of in the history of pro wrestling, and I am here for it because it's Joe Hendry. Now, if it was another member of the wrestling community that I refuse to talk about, she who shall remain nameless, keep that deal away from her. She doesn't deserve it, but Joe Hendry does. This man is phenomenal. He's entertaining. People talk about him all the time in a positive way. This man deserves everything that WWE and TNA have worked out for him, in my opinion.
This is one of the most he is one of the most over personalities, if you will, in TNA in wrestling that I have seen in a very, very long time. And it reminds me a lot of Shawn Michaels, man, because Shawn was so over, especially like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold was so over in WWE. It was insane. And every time Joe Hendry comes out and makes an appearance, if he just has like a little small vignette on the screen on the Titantron, the place erupts, and people are. I mean, he's been viral. I don't even know how many times. Just a countless number of times Joe Hendry has been viral. He is making, and like Max said, it's one of the most unheard of agreements in professional wrestling between TNA and NXT that he can go between both shows and still have a current storyline that he can take over to his main break. I'm excited for Joe Hendry. I'm excited to see what the future holds for this guy because he has such potential. And
when was the last time somebody had a wrestler had a song, their entrance music, debut at #1 on Spotify?
Yeah, it's John Cena
crazy.
had an album out, and his theme song was on that album, and I think it sold okay, but I don't think it ever sold. I don't think it ever topped up to Joe Hendry.
And while we're on this subject, we got to talk about Matt Cardona, Long Island IZ. When the WWE wasn't really giving him a lot of TV time and they weren't using him the way he thought was best, what did he do? He created a YouTube channel, got himself over with the fans, which elevated him in WWE's eyes. Joe Hendry just did a better job of that, in my opinion. I'm not taking away from Matt Cardona. You did an amazing job building yourself. Joe Hendry has done the same thing, but he's done it better. And you got to compare the two because they both took similar paths.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
what?
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say what blows my mind is how this whole thing happened with Joe. It's so grassroots that his song went viral on, apparently, look, I'm not a TikTok guy. I don't get it. I know people, make all sorts of goofy little videos on it. Well, apparently people started using his song for videos and such, and that's how it became viral. So when I say grassroots, I mean, it's really by the people. It wasn't, it didn't have a juggernaut behind it like WWE or TNA. This is from Joe Hendry making the song and people making it happen. Now, granted, the machine is starting to finally get behind Joe Hendry in a big way. So that's tremendous to see, and where it goes from there.
It's exciting. It's exciting to
wild.
be. Oh yeah, it's an exciting ride for Joe, and it's an exciting ride for fans of TNA and NXT as well, because it's nice to be able to watch NXT and wonder if Joe Hendry is going to be featured on NXT. So, and I'm really digging the whole NXT WWE or the TNA WWE collaboration. It's just been marvelous. It's really been a breath of fresh air, to say the least.
Oh yeah.
So we'll have to keep following, what happens with Joe Hendry's career and where he goes. But for the time being, his contract with TNA does not expire until 2025. So at least we have him on both brands going forward until next year. Let's jump over to some AEW news because, man, there was a lot of stuff going on specifically between MJF and Britt Baker. As we all know, Mercedes Moné dropped a bombshell when she revealed that Britt Baker had been suspended by the Young Bucks, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, following an incident at San Diego Comic-Con on the 31st of July, that episode of Dynamite. Initially, it was thought to be a storyline, but it was later confirmed that Baker's suspension was very real, and it was stemming from an altercation involving Britt Baker, MJF, and Alicia Tout. Mercedes Moné dropped a bombshell when she revealed that Britt had been suspended by the Young Bucks, and Deonna Purrazzo made a bit of a statement on it about the atmosphere. She was asked about the atmosphere in both the locker rooms for AEW, and here's what she had to say, and I quote, "I think this was just one instance that sparked a lot of drama and kind of took on a life of its own. The rumor mill starts going and things aren't as they were. People add their 2 cents and it makes it way bigger than it was. I think this was an isolated incident because everything else that I've experienced in this locker room is supportive, encouraging, and full of camaraderie," end quote. My question to you guys, and my question to the listeners, with all the backstage drama that we've heard coming out of AEW, the AEW camp, do you think that Deonna was right? Do you think this was an isolated incident? Do you think that this was just something that happened? Max, I know that you've had a lot of thoughts on AEW in the past. This was actually going to be Baron's $9.99 moment, but since he's not here, since he's on assignment, what are your thoughts, Max?
Listen, I love Baron, so let me just say 999 so we feel like he's here for this segment. Here's the thing, okay? I would love to say this is an isolated incident, but let's think back a little ways. We just had that backstage altercation between Punk and Jack Perry that the EVPs, in their infinite wisdom, decided to air the footage of, which I think we all agree was unnecessary and probably shouldn't have been aired. So it sounds like there's some stuff going on backstage that AEW needs to deal with. And I'm not talking about Tony Khan's cocaine habit. I'm talking about the morale sounds low. When you have wrestlers getting into altercations backstage, not storyline, but in actual altercations, it means the morale is probably low, and you should probably look into that. And I bet you if we dug deeper, we'd find out that there's more incidents happening backstage than what we've been led shown, basically.
J-Bone, I know that AEW has had a lot of people talking about them, and this definitely doesn't help. Even as Max just said about the whole CM Punk Jack Perry thing, I don't think this is going to kill him. I don't think this is going to be a make it or break it deal for AEW, but I do believe that there are some things that have to be addressed, and I think that there's some things that have to be taken care of as far as egos. And I think Max, I think that MJF has a fairly big ego.
Oh, definitely.
And I think Britt Baker has a fairly big ego too. And I think between the two, you would see some sort of altercation between the two. Now, I think, isn't it true that Britt Baker and Adam Cole are still a couple? Aren't they a couple?
Last I heard, yeah, nothing's changed on that front.
So, I mean,
yeah.
if Maxwell Jacob Friedman makes a threat to Britt, that could go towards Adam Cole. Adam Cole could jump in, and that could, feed fuel to the fire. So, J-Bone, hearing about this, do you think that this was an isolated incident? Do you think that there's just too many egos afloat in AEW? What's your thoughts, man?
I don't. I think this is an isolated incident as far as Britt Baker and the people involved in this particular incident. But the thing is, in a long tenured history of this company, well, not too long actually, but it lasts between 5 and 6 years, whatever it's been. Britt Baker has been the subject of controversy before with other ladies backstage. There's been rumors of attitudes. There's been rumors of cat fights, whatever. So, is it, you could say this is an isolated incident between Britt and Miss Toot, but this isn't the first time that people are talking about Britt Baker. So, it doesn't help the ladies' locker room, I tell you, because that's been a subject that we've talked about a lot over the last several months. It certainly had its ups and downs. I hope whatever happens is squashed and it's taken care of. I don't know exactly what was said or what happened between the two, but geez Louise, just hearing that Britt Baker was suspended again was like, really? Now what? It's I mean, I don't know how many times this has to happen for damage control to really take place, and they start removing people from a roster that are, we'll just say, repeat offenders.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't help the fact that the next story could possibly feed more to the fire here. As we reported a few months ago, the Tonga twins made waves when they announced that of their departure from Women of Wrestling on social media, and their exit comes amid some serious allegations of bullying and misconduct involving other wrestlers within the promotion. Now, we don't know too many details, especially about this with what happened between them and WOW, but there were some he said, she said things going on. And now, several months after the Tonga twins left that promotion, they began to address the possibilities of joining AEW. And I hope I pronounce her name right. Taheen Tonga took to X, formerly known as Twitter, for a Q&A session when she asked, when a fan asked about the twins' potential future in either AEW or WWE, to which she responded, and I quote, "If I'm at AEW, it's only if the Monet, as in Mercedes Monet, calls," hinting at a possible alliance or possible storyline with Mercedes. So, are we interested in the Tonga twins joining AEW? Do we think that that's going to be more crap that comes from this locker room, from this camp? Especially when it comes to the Tonga twins, since we really don't know the whole story of what happened between those two and the promotion of WOW. Do we think that this is smart that the Tonga twins join AEW? Max?
I think with all the negativity coming out of AEW right now, and considering the negativity that they have reported dealing with it, WOW, I think AEW may be the wrong direction for them at the moment, especially when I think that they would fit in very well with the Bloodline if they went to WWE. So personally, this is just my opinion. I think they should pass on AEW for now, go to the Performance Center, hone their skills, and become part of Solo's Bloodline. That's my opinion.
That would be nice to see, honestly, to get some females into the Bloodline, no matter what side they're on, if they're on Solo's side or if they're on Roman Reigns' side. But J-Bone, is this a possibility that you are interested in seeing? Do you think it's a good idea that the Tonga Twins join AEW or possibly WWE?
I don't blame them for wanting to go to a bigger stage, but beyond the stuff that happened with them in with WoW, we don't know all the details yet, I don't think, but I don't know. I can't really say like how good they are. I'd have to go check out some of their matches and such. I know there's a lot of stuff with bloodline related stuff. A lot of new people coming into the WWE. There certainly seems to be some hype. If Tony was smart, he would jump on the hype. Maybe hire him for Ring of Honor, give him a shot or something. I mean, everyone deserves another shot. If their first round didn't work out for them, so yeah.
Ring of Honor is a really good option for the Tonga Twins, I think.
It's something, if Tony doesn't want to take a chance and put him on national television, he could throw him on Ring of Honor for a few months and give him a shot, few matches here and there.
Yeah. We'll have to see what happens to the Tonga Twins. I'm interested to see how well they perform. I personally have not watched a match of theirs from WoW, but I'm interested to see how well the Tonga Twins would do and where they would initially wind up. I think. And yeah, Mir said that they were at the Performance Center about a month ago. So we'll have to see where I think that I think they're just in it for the money. I think if the money is right, if the contract is right, if it fits what they're kind of looking for, I think that all systems are go for the possibility of joining the WWE, if not maybe the NXT roster, just so that they can hone their craft a little better if they're not up to snuff with all that. But I think NXT would be a good stepping stone for them, if not them jumping immediate ship to the Bloodline, but or they could take the Bloodline over into NXT and start a small tag team over there and just be part of the Bloodline in NXT. Who knows? Time will tell. But we'll keep an eye on the Tonga Twins and see where they land up. Let's go over to some WWE news real quick. A big episode for Monday Night Raw. The August 5th episode drew 1.73 million viewers, an increase from the previous week's audience at 1.41 million viewers. And this is while the Olympics were going on too, and they switched over to Sci-Fi. So that's really huge.
That's the point.
Yeah, that is really good numbers to draw with the Olympics going on, because they always had problems when football is around. They've always had problems drawing in the numbers between football and wrestling. So it's really cool to see this. The rating is in the key 18 to 49 demographic garnered a 0.62 rating. It was an increase from last week's 0.59 rating. And this week's episode of Monday Night Raw featured a lot of in-ring debuts. Of course, the Wyatt Six were in action. They defeated the Creed brothers and Chad Gable and their new faction.
Thank you.
Yeah, Finn Balor introduced a new version of the Judgment Day as he turned on Damian Priest. Judgment Day turned on Damian Priest. CM Punk and Drew McIntyre continued their feud, and more memorable moments from Monday Night Raw. It was definitely not lackluster. And then we also have to make note of Odyssey Jones making his debut as part of the new addition to the New Day. When we thought the New Day was going to come to an end, here comes Odyssey Jones to save the day. And
maybe not.
I was pretty excited to see that, man.
I don't know if you caught Xavier's reaction both in the ring and then later backstage. Xavier was not happy about Odyssey Jones being there.
Yeah, I caught that, and that's what That's what builds the storyline. I'm loving the storyline on that, man.
I'm saying that we are probably still looking at the breakup of New Day, which sucks, but
Well, I mean that could be a possibility, but I'm excited.
Yeah.
Odyssey Jones is a big son of a gun, dude.
I will say it's been weird waiting 2.5 years to see this man debut when he's been drafted twice in the last 2 years.
Yeah. A lot of people were talking about that too. I don't know why.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why they couldn't find a good push for him, and why not stick him with the New Day, make him the new Big E.
It seems like a no-brainer. I mean, I get that there's only so much you can do with a guy who's considered almost a giant, and maybe he did need to work on his in-ring skills, or maybe his charisma wasn't quite up to snuff. I don't know, because I didn't even see him in NXT at all. But I know he did some stuff down there. So who knows? But man, this debut just blew me away. I'm like, this guy tossed around AOP like they were ragdolls. I was like, what?
It reminded me of Mark Henry's debut in the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
He was huge, and Odyssey Jones is about the size of Mark Henry. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do with Odyssey Jones and what happens with the New Day if they do eventually split up. If they do, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But a very big episode for Monday Night Raw, and not a very high episode for SmackDown. What do we get? The return of Roman Reigns to address the fans. I miss SmackDown, so I know Roman came out and talked. What did he say specifically?
He didn't. He came out to kick some ass, and that was about it, which is fine. But
is good.
If you were looking to see Roman Reigns on the mic to either approach or counter Solo Sikoa in the ring on the mic or the bloodline, no, he let his fist do the talking. It's fine for now. We'll hear from him eventually.
That's still a powerful speech on his part.
Yeah. I mean, he let out a few ooh-ahs, which the crowd certainly popped for. He put Tama Tonga through a barrier. He knocked out Tongaloa in the ring. Solo Sikoa, ran away like a little bitch, with the red necklace. I can't. There's a special name for it. It's
Ulafala?
You the what?
I think it's Ulafala, but I'll confirm that.
What he said. I'm not gonna try that. I'll botch it worse than. Anyways, it's an Ulafala, ULA space FALA. It is a ceremonial necklace or lei made from segments of the pandanus fruit, also known as carpals, phalanges, or keys.
Okay.
Man, I just thought it was some spicy peppers, man.
Right.
Well, it made me hungry.
Right. No
Well, yeah. That's a big symbol here, because that's what Roman had for the longest time. Besides being champion, that was one big chapter in his story, was becoming the tribal chief. Alpha and Sika came out and presented him with the Ulafala.
Yeah,
yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I was up way too early this morning. I'm not up for the Ulafala thingy.
That was perfect.
Yeah.
Good job.
Was that okay? Did it? Okay.
Yeah,
5 stars.
First clap for that, buddy.
I am proud of you, J-Bone.
Oh, Jiminy Christmas. I'm so proud of you too. But yeah, Yeah, so did he say anything? No. Did
He
he?
let his fist do the talking. Yeah, he pretty much came out there and let his fist do the talking, but not a major episode for SmackDown, but big episode for Monday Night Raw, which is good. Finally, the last piece of WWE news that I have is it revolves around Braun Breaker. Made a powerful debut on the main roster at the Royal Rumble and has since been booked as an absolute machine. He is now the new Intercontinental Champion, taking that away from Sami Zayn. And with that said, it appears that his father, Rick Steiner, has claimed that Breaker stole moves from he and Scott. When speaking to Sportskeeda, Rick Steiner was asked what Braun Breaker needed to do to get better at his game. And to this, Rick Steiner claimed that his son had stolen moves from him as well as Scott, and then proceeded to laugh about it. Afterwards, Rick Steiner stated that all Braun Breaker needs to do is to take care of himself and to the next level is focusing on perfecting his basics and fundamentals like a clothesline and other moves, which I agree with Rick and with Rick on that one. Watching him on SummerSlam, watching that match on SummerSlam, some of the spots were kind of messy between he and Sami Zayn. I knew that he was going to go over. I knew he was going to get the title, but honestly, I thought it was kind of a lackluster match between the two. I've definitely seen better matches with Sami Zayn and someone else versus somebody else other than Braun Breaker. Braun is just a machine. He goes out there and he has so much energy. I think the problem is that Braun has so much energy, he doesn't know where to place it. I don't think he knows where he needs to use that energy and when he needs to conserve it. Max, I know that you have, like we just stated, you have been in the professional wrestling industry for some time. Have you ever ran into a guy like Braun that has had just so much energy they didn't know how to use it, how to, keep it, like conserve some of it, and then use it again in the same match?
Yeah, I mean, I've worked with people that just want to open hot and get it over quick.
I think that's what Braun is after. I think he wants to open hot, and I think he just wants to get over really quick, and that just doesn't work.
I'm going to take this from a different angle, and I mean, it's going to be what you asked, but when I'm watching a match, I was once told that the true gauge of how good a match is, turn off the commentary. If the match tells a story without the commentary going in the background, you have a quality match. The problem is that when you are out there and you start off hot and you want to end that match quick, like it's clear Braun wants to do, you're not telling the story in the match. You're having to rely on commentary at that point. I'm not saying your match needs to go 15, 20 minutes, but slow down, take your time. You don't have to rush it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think this story between he and Sami could have been better told if it were painted a little bit better. And I'm talking about the matches, the matches between he and Sami. Not so much. I mean, the promos and everything that they cut was okay. I've never been over on Sami. I'll admit that. I've never been sold on Sami Zayn ever. And pairing him with Braun Breaker hasn't really sold me on Sami Zayn again, or hasn't really sold me on him. I'm not really that sold on Braun Breaker. I just know that Braun is a monster. I know that Braun can get over very quickly, but the way that he's getting over, to me, he's going to gas himself. He's going to get gassed out, man. Like he's going to run out. The tank's going to run out on empty at some point. J-Bone, do you think that Rick has a good point that even though yes, he stole moves from he and Scott, that's okay. I mean, they're all related. It's whatever. But do you think that what Rick said as far as him getting back to the basics and fundamentals, like perfecting a clothesline and other moves, could help Braun?
In the long run, yeah. I mean, for what he's doing right now, you just want to see this guy just tear through people just like the Steiners did. Yeah, there's times when the Steiners will, put a few moves on you in the ring, and then you're gonna have a more long drawn out. But right now, they're creating a beast. So, he's not going to have to put on a 5-star match every time.
Right.
The fact that he's IC champ does speak volumes, though. That's a lot of trust in someone. It's similar to how they're doing with LA Knight right now. He's the United States champion, which is great. The timing couldn't be better for that. In fact, some would say that it should have happened a little sooner, but hey, better late than never, in my opinion. I would have let Braun simmer a little more on the main roster before you give him a title, but obviously they want to push this guy to the moon. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I love the stuff he did with Sami Zayn. I'm a huge fan of Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn went into this gung-ho, but gave it up humbly, I feel. So,
yeah,
we'll see what the future holds.
I think that Braun could keep going to the Performance Center, and I think if they were willing to do it, have Rick and Scott coach him. Like, hey, this is what put us over in the WWE. This is what you need to do, or something similar, or make it your own. Just don't go in all gung ho and destroy people, and just get gassed easily. I think if Rick and Scott coach him and tell him like, hey, this is what you need to do. We don't care if you're using our moves, whatever. We're not using them anymore. If those two, his dad and uncle, could help Braun build his character and build his in-ring performance, I think that would speak volumes. But so far, Braun's impressed me with how impactful he's been. I'll say during his debut on SmackDown and when he came over to Raw, Braun's done a really good job. I'll give him that. He's done a really good job, and congratulations to him becoming the IC champ. I know that he's going to take it far. So I think Braun is. I think WWE is doing a good job with Braun, and I think Braun is going to be. He's going to go over with the fans and become even more popular with the fans too, because he does get a pretty big pop when he comes out. So
it's true.
That is all that we have today. Yep.
I have to ask a question. We got to discuss the elephant in the room. J-Bun, can you do me a favor real quick and put this picture up for me?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I got to know. This has been bugging me for months now. Why did this man wait until he was outed as a villain in real life to start looking like a villain?
Oh, man.
And when we get the picture up, you will definitely know what Max is talking about.
It makes no sense to me. He was a villain on TV for so long, but he never looked like it. He waited until he was outed as a villain in real life.
I think that there we go. I think that I don't know with McMahon. He was a very good villain on TV. Because he was the head honcho, nobody would tell him no. Everybody would say yes, sir, no, sir. With that, I hate the mustache, Vince. If you ever watch this, for the love of God, get rid of the damn mustache, please. That just looks so
creepy.
Goofy. It is very. It's very like yeah. it's very free candy van.
It's not hot. It's not hot at all.
It's really not. It's really not. And if Linda is still with him, which I don't know why she would be, I would think that Linda would have to say some sort of have like some say in dude, get rid of it,
no, she I don't think she's been with him for years. The only thing Vince can do now is call up some.
You gotta give him that hawk too and spit on that thing.
Right, exactly.
That's all he can get. Yeah, that's it.
I've never had confirmation of their relationship status. What I do know is they have been living separately for several years. She was trying to distance herself from WWE as part of her political running stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And I got to be honest, wouldn't you want to distance yourself from the WWE for that?
Yeah. Especially Vince McMahon.
Right?
But that is all we have for you this week. Not a lot going on in the world of professional wrestling other than the passing of Kevin Sullivan, which is super sad news. If we get any more news on the Tonga twins, if we get any more news on the backstage happenings with MJF and Britt Baker, we'll pass it along. Especially if we get more news on Dark Side of the Ring, another season for Dark Side of the Ring. I'm excited for that. I know the guys are too. With that, we'll pass it along. But we do this every Saturday afternoon, and we do a lot of PLE reviews too. So the SummerSlam review that Baron, Max, and J-Bone did garnered 303 views, I believe, that we are sitting at, and we're at 195 subscribers on the channel. Thank you so much for subscribing. Please tell your friends about us. We're also on Twitch now, this is my first appearance on Twitch. You can follow us. What's the handle, J-Bone, for Twitch?
It is Ramblers. It's twitch.tv/Ramblers Unleashed. All one thing.
All one.
Or if you go onto the app, you can just search for Ramblers Unleashed, one word, and it'll pull it up.
Yeah, that's how I found it. So you please tell your friends that we're on Twitch, that we're on YouTube, and we are definitely grateful for you tuning in each and every Saturday with us as we cover big topics in the world of wrestling, whether it be AEW, whether it be TNA, whether it be WWE, or even an indie promotion such as WOW or anything like that, ROH. Whatever we can cover, whatever is big going on in the world of professional wrestling, we will definitely bring it to you just as soon as we know about it. We do this every single Saturday, and it's a lot of fun doing it with you guys. So,
and look, if you guys come across a story that you think we might be interested in, we're about to give you our socials. Feel free to tweet it to us, and we will look into it.
Yeah, if you're on Facebook, you can follow the show at The Ramblers Pod. It's Ramblers Unleashed on Facebook. On X, it is at The Ramblers Pod. You can follow that and subscribe to us. And if you do, like Max said, if you hear any stories of happenings backstage or whatever the case may be, send it to us. We'll look at it. We will possibly put it on the show and talk about it because this all starts with you. I mean, we can't be everywhere with all that, with professional wrestling. So with many other ears and eyes that we can get to help us bring you the best wrestling news and wrestling content that we can, please let us know. Again, The Ramblers Pod on X, Facebook. You can just search for Ramblers Unleashed and give us a like and be ready for some more videos. Man, we're gonna keep doing this until the wheels fall off, and I don't think we're gonna have the wheels fall off. We're gonna put them back on and reattach them and weld them and whatever we got to do with them. I'm not a mechanic.
They're gonna have to bury me with my podcasting equipment. I'll be doing this show the day I die.
There you go. Hopefully we'll have Baron back too, and we'll get some news from him and his findings on what's better, an hour of fresh air or an hour of watching AEW programming. I think I already know the answer, but we'll get Baron back on next week, hopefully. You can follow Baron, by the way, on X at Scumbag Jordan with 3 N's. and that's how you can connect with him. Max, how can they connect with you?
You can find the wrestling stuff on the @MaxMages account, spelled out for you right here on the screen. And the nerdy stuff, if you were into that sort of thing, at Our Shots Podcast. That's my other podcast that I do occasionally with some lifelong friends of mine.
There you go. And that's all more of the comic book type of stuff. You
comic book, movies. I mean, we cover a wide range of stuff, and we do touch on wrestling once in a while, too.
Have you had any, I've been meaning to ask you this, too, Max. Have you had any of our subscribers come over and subscribe to Random Shots Podcast?
I think we had one or two people whose name I recognized from us come over.
Perfect.
I'd have to pull up the subscription list to confirm that, but yeah.
Okay. Well, if you are watching this and you are a fan of like comic book stuff, anything, pretty much anything other than wrestling, check it out. Random Shots Podcast, the letter R, Shots Podcast on an X, and go enjoy Max in a different capacity, if you will. J-Bone, how can they follow you, sir?
You can follow me over on that Twitter box at jbone5150. You can also find me over on that other little show called Total Nonstop Impact on Thursdays, and I should say Tuesdays and Thursdays. It depends on how much stuff happens with NXT and TNA, but most of the time on Thursdays, and then occasionally on Smash This Podcast as well, and here, of course.
And pretty soon, I don't know if this is. I've heard rumblings about this, but X might be possibly changing it back to Twitter, the name back to Twitter. So that would be nice. So if you saying Twitter box, that would actually be accurate.
I always say Twitter box.
Yeah.
I have been refusing to call it anything other than Twitter since the name change was announced.
I don't mind it being called X, honestly. I
look at it like this. No one likes talking about their ex, so
Well, that's true. That's true. You can follow the show on X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it at the Ramblers Pod. You can follow us on Facebook too. Ramblers Unleashed. Just search that. You'll find us right there. And please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon here on YouTube, subscribe to us on Twitch, and if you are feeling froggy, leap on over to our merch store and buy some Ramblers Unleashed merch. The link is in the description of the YouTube channel. I believe it's on Twitch too, right? Is it on the Twitch channel too, J-Bone?
What's on the Twitch?
Our merchandise.
Not on the merchandise. There's a small description. There are some links, social media links on the Twitch there, on the main page. There's the Facebook, there's the YouTube, and the Twitter. It's the Twitch is a work in progress.
Sure. Yeah. But either way,
stuff. So yeah.
Either way, give us a follow on Twitch, subscribe to us here on YouTube, and tell your friends about us. We definitely appreciate each and every one of you taking your time out of your busy week, your weekend, or whenever you watch this, and listen to some wrestling content, some wrestling news. And we'll be back again next Saturday to do it all over again. So have yourself a great weekend. And please enjoy wrestling for what it is, no matter what promotion you watch, no matter who you like in professional wrestling, and no matter, for the love of God, no matter what's going on in professional wrestling, just enjoy pro wrestling for what it is. And we will talk to you next Saturday. See ya. Wow.
Thanks for tuning in to Ramblers Unleashed. Follow the show on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and click the bell icon for notifications of upcoming episodes.